كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إن الله لا يحب المسرفين قل من حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق قل هي للذين آمنوا في الحياة الدنيا خالصة يوم القيامة كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يعلمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran lays down the foundation and explains to us about how we should live our lives in this world. And many times we struggle in between figuring out whether we can enjoy this dunya or not, or whether we need to refrain from this world and stay away from the pleasures of this dunya and stay away from that even which we consider halal. And we find ourselves in this limbo, struggling and trying to figure out our daily lives, trying to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. Trying to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually telling us. How He wants us to live our lives. Does He allow us to enjoy this world? Does He want us to refrain from this dunya? Today what I want to do is look at a few verses. I want to look at a few verses of the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lays the balance between these two ideas. Between refraining from the dunya, between complete zuhd, between staying away from everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal. And on the other end, between constantly chasing the dunya, constantly chasing the materialistic aspect of this world. In the verses that I recited, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about enjoying that which He has provided and engaging or indulging in those things that He has made halal for us. But before I actually break down the ayah and look at the wording of the ayah itself, I want to speak about the background story behind the ayah, just to give us some context of when it was revealed. These verses were revealed to the Prophet ﷺ based off of a tradition that used to take place in 7th century Arabia, based off of a tradition that used to take place amongst the Quraysh around the Kaaba. As we all know that the Prophet ﷺ was not the first one to bring the concept of Hajj, to bring the concept of pilgrimage, and that people used to travel from around the region to come and perform pilgrimage around the Kaaba. But they used to have their own rituals. They used to have certain rituals which they used to follow, and then they used to make it an obligation upon other people. And they used to behave in a sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to do those things. Some of which were, when they used to do the tawaf around the Kaaba, they used to not wear any clothes. They used to believe that their clothes contain or are full of sin, and that the body has to be away from sins or pure from it, so they used to remove their clothing and they used to do tawaf without any clothing. They used to forbid themselves from eating certain types of meats, from eating certain types of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made permissible. And they used to think that these things bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these verses is tackling those issues, but He's tackling something greater than that. He's tackling this concept of not refraining from this dunya. And it is exactly what you think I am saying. These ayahs are talking about enjoying what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal. And this concept that we have that we're not supposed to enjoy this dunya, we're supposed to stay away from even those things that are halal, that is a misconception. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He's starting these verses by saying, Ya bani Adam, O children of Adam, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. that take your beauty to each masjid. And this is, the word that is used here is beauty, but it's referring to clothing. It's referring to what you wear. That wear clothes to the masjid, wear clothes to the place where you do ibadah. And we know through the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that not only are we supposed to wear something to the masjid, but we're supposed to dress our best. We're supposed to dress nice and decent when we come to the masjid. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is number one tackling that issue. That wear clothes to the masjid, wear something to the masjid. Go respectfully to the masjid. وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. Now here He's commanding us, He's telling us and informing us that eat and drink, that indulge in those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made permissible. Eat and drink from those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has categorized as halal. Don't put these restrictions upon yourself. Don't refrain and make these rules for your own self that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want me to enjoy, this is for the akhirah, this is for this. If Allah has made it halal, it is halal for you to enjoy. If Allah has made it permissible, it is permissible for you to enjoy. And on top of that, taking it a step further, that don't look down upon people who engage or do something that is categorized as halal. But He places a restriction. He says, وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. But don't be excessive. Don't be wasteful. But go ahead and enjoy those things that I have made halal. فَكُلُوا. Eat it. Eat what you desire. Indulge in food. وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. Don't be excessive. Don't be wasteful. And this is not only referring to the concept of food itself, but this is a command on its own. That do not be excessive. Do not be wasteful in everything. Whether it comes to what you eat, when it comes to food, don't be wasteful. Enjoy that which Allah has made halal. Enjoy it. But don't fill your plates, and many times we're guilty of this. We go to a party and we come to iftar, and we're thinking with our stomach, and we fill the plates, and at the end we can't finish it. So what do? We go and throw it in the trash. In this ayah, Allah is telling us that balance. He's instructing us with that balance. That yes, eat and drink. Enjoy those things that are halal, but do not be wasteful. Don't go to the other end. Don't go to the other extreme. That keep that balance. Now, many times we think, well, what about those ahadith that we read? Or those interpretations that we might read? In which, for example, one of the famous hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he says, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." That what are we to make of a hadith similar to this? That this world is ad-dunya sijnul mu'min. It is like a prison for the believer. It is like a prison for those who believe. Wa jannatul kafir. And it is like a paradise. It is like the Jannah for those who disbelieve. What do we make of ahadith similar to this? The problem is many times we misunderstand these ahadith. That the Prophet ﷺ is not telling us that it is a prison in the sense that we're not allowed to do anything. But the dunya is a prison in a sense that there are rules and restrictions which the Muslim and the mu'min have to abide by. That the believer is not free to do all that he wishes. That there are restrictions, there are hudud, there are those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram. For example, alcohol. That is one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited in the Quran. This is what the framework of this hadith is explaining. That it is a prison in a sense that you are not free to do everything that you desire. Rather, it is that freedom is available to the disbeliever because he is not bound by the same restrictions that you are bound by from the Quran and Sunnah. That is the actual understanding of these ahadith. And it is not speaking about refraining from everything in this dunya, that we stay away from those things that Allah has made halal, that we stay away from, if Allah has blessed you with wealth, that you refrain from it because it is not of a mu'min, it is not of a believer to enjoy that which Allah has blessed him. These are all misconceptions. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with wealth, then it is a blessing, it is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But use it within those limits. وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. Do not be excessive, do not be wasteful. Enjoy it, but do not go to that extreme. To further clarify my point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the next ayah, He says, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ. That, O Muhammad, say to them, say to the Quraysh, and this ayah in general is speaking to us as well. مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ. Who is the one that made it haram? Who is the one that forbade those things that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made permissible? Who is the one that forbade those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the adornments that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, the ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with, those things that Allah has not categorized as haram? قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ. Who has made the adornments that Allah has blessed you with haram? And this is to further clarify. التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق. Those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed for the believers, and those things that are pure from His provisions, the things that He has provided us with. قُلْ هِيَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. And again, this is even explaining it further. It doesn't get clearer than this. قُلْ هِيَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. That say it is for the believers in this world. That it is not, He didn't leave it vague saying that it is for the believers, and then we can interpret it in the sense that it is for us in the akhirah. قُلْ هِيَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. That it is for the believers in this world. خَالِصَةً يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. And then exclusively for the believers in the hereafter. So those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made permissible, those things that fit in the category, in the realm of halal, we are allowed to enjoy those things. That we don't have to restrict and stay away from those. But at the same time, we follow those limits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed. That we don't constantly be excessive or wasteful. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to implement that in our lives. ادعوا الله لي ولكم. Use this time for silent prayer. الحمد لله الأحد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين ولك الحمد حمد الذاكرين. لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك ولعظيم سلطانك. قال عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then also explains to us in the Quran. And before I actually get into the verse that I recited, in the set of verses that we were looking at previously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually describes 5 categories of things that He has prohibited. That He describes 5 categories of things that He has prohibited, and everything falls within those 5 categories. Everything outside of those categories is for لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. It's for the believers in this world to enjoy. Now looking at the other side, going to the other extreme, that chasing or constantly chasing this dunya, that is what we need to balance it with. That we establish the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us permission to enjoy that which He has made halal. We establish the fact that we are not required to refrain completely from this dunya. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us not to constantly chase this dunya. Not to be so engaged and indulged in this dunya that we forget about the akhirah. He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُلْهِكُمْ أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. That, O you who have believed, do not let your wealth, that which you have acquired, your children, your offspring, destroy you. Do not let them take you away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. And whoever allows that, whoever engages in that, then truly those are the ones who are at loss. Those are the ones who are at loss. Now, before I explain this verse further, there is a mentality that we live in this age of materialism. That we tend to measure everything according to wealth. That everything in our mindset is based off of a materialistic aspect. That it is one for one. I give you $1, you give me $1. I give you $1 and you give me something worth $1. That is how our minds work. And this mentality sometimes makes it difficult for the person. Makes it difficult for the person to comprehend our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a one-to-one ratio. Like the fast that was yesterday, and the day before, and possibly today. That the hadith mentions that whoever fasts on this day, a year of his sins will be forgiven. And many other ahadith similar in manner. We tend not to understand and grasp how these things work. That why is it that if I fast one day, Allah is willing to give me all these rewards? And it is for that reason we tend not to engage in those type of good deeds. That if you do this small good deed, if you read the Quran, if you read one letter, this is how many good deeds you get. We're not used to that sort of exchange. That Allah is willing to give us so much for some little effort that we put in. And that is because of the mentality that we live in. That everything is materialistic. And we tend to base our judgments of an individual based off of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them. And this was never the case in the past. When we look at the stories that are mentioned in the Quran, the story of Pharaoh, the story of Qarun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed them with a lot of wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed them with power. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed them with some of the greatest kingdoms on earth. But that was never a measurement of their closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we look at some of the stories of the prophets who weren't wealthy at all, but their closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not affected, was not judged based off of a materialistic aspect of life. And this is a mentality change that we need to bring into our own lives. That we tend to judge people based off of, if Allah has blessed this person with wealth, then we automatically think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with this individual. If this person is struggling, if every day that individual is going to work and just making enough, we tend to think he does not have any blessings in life, or that he is not close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this was never the case. When you look at the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have examples of Uthman radiallahu anhu, who was extremely wealthy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed them with a lot of wealth. And that was never a barrier between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That did not hold him back from the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People didn't automatically assume because he's blessed, because he has wealth, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prefers him over somebody else. When you look at the life of Ali radiallahu anhu, he was the exact opposite. Ali radiallahu anhu was not wealthy at all. But again, that was not a barrier between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their wealth did not determine their closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their wealth did not determine their ikhlas to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what we need to understand, that our wealth and our struggles, they do not determine our relationship and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us or not. That is something that is completely separate. That in this age of materialism, we allow that to overtake our entire mentality and structure our lives according to it. So going back to the original point, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we can enjoy this world, but at the same time, we should not allow this world, this dunya. لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. Don't allow your wealth and your offspring and your children to destroy you, to take you away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the balance that we must strive for. That is the balance that we have to bring into our lives. One of the contemporary scholars was asked that what should a person make dua for? Should a person make dua for wealth? Or should he make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give him wealth, so he doesn't test him in that? And he replies and says that a person should make dua for that which will bring him closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it be wealth or whether it be poverty. That whichever brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is what is better for you. If poverty brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then poverty is that which is best for you. If your wealth brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then your wealth is what is best for you. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to think in that way. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us and help us and give us the tawfiq to re-understand our connection to Him. To not base it off of the materialistic blessings that we have. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ighfir lana wa liwalidayna wa lilmuslimina wal muslimat al-ahya'i minhum wal amwat. Innaka sami'un mujib ad-da'awat. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصل اللهم على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Before I end, there is one announcement about the new ISD sponsored project, which is the Elkton Masjid. So they will be having a fundraiser for the Elkton Masjid on Sunday at the Ramada Hotel that is close to the Masjid. I think it's on Chapel Road. And we ask everybody to try to free your schedule and attend that. And if you cannot attend that, then you can give your donations to ISD and write for the Elkton project at any time you please. Inshallah, they're trying to raise 100,000 so they can open a center there. And regardless if you live there or not, and whatever you can give, just be a part of it. So that there is a part of it that will be a sadaqah jariyah for you that will continue forever. Regardless of how much you give, just make sure you are a part of that blessing.